Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Calling all the fighters, calling on survivors. Are you up all nighters? We can take it higher. Let's do this. Can you feel the fire running through your veins? Now you're burning brighter, don't look away. Shout out to the legends, rising from the wreckage. Count down the seconds, it's out your engines. Let's do this. I know we've got a long way to go. I know we've got a long road home. I know we've got a long way to go. Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Let's do this. Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Let's do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghostfire Media's coverage of the North-South Racing League. Tonight we are at the Milwaukee Mile. Kind of a long track for these guys, but with me as always is Mr. Adam Wood. Adam, how are you doing this evening?
Doing fantastic, man. Just trying to enjoy these guys. Gonna hang out here on this 1 mile track. Each corner's a little bit different. These guys are gonna have to attack it each corner differently. It's gonna be fun to see if they can do it. As of right now, yeah, everybody's just wrecking and just sliding around these new tires. It's a little slick out there for them.
I mean, it is a fantastic track, and it's the 4th trip that these guys have made to this oval. Jeff Bergener holds the track record, and honestly, this is another one of those tracks. They do a fantastic job with the track selection. It's perfect for these street stocks. It's a massively wide track, and these cars just are tuned perfectly for this little amount of banking that they have here.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fantastic here. I think, like you said, the banking is just enough for these guys to keep up with the speed. This is a larger track for them, so they need to keep up all the momentum that they can get, but also be able to keep the traction by not overheating these Hoosiers.
And that is going to be our big problem tonight. As we can see in virtual Wisconsin, we are looking at a nice sunny day, which means this track is going to be baked. And it's probably, as we see everyone going through right now, it's going to be a bottom feeder. It's going to be rough to pass around the outside, but we've said that before, and somehow these guys managed to prove us wrong.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how the grooves come in and see if these guys are going to be able to do it on older tires, see what the older tires are worth. I mean, right now you see a blend of basically just fresh tires. These guys keep running out there trying to, you know, got 5 minutes left in practice here. They're trying to hone in on that fast lap. They're trying to get ready for the qualifying before a wonderful invert comes.
Well, and we'll see what that brings us. But since we are here, and Dante Curtis, who currently is the fastest man out there in practice, what we're going to do is we're going to jump on to the roll bar and do a quick lap around the 1 mile track. As they cross the line, they're starting to think about getting themselves down to that low line onto that fresh pavement that's been just caked in rubber over the course of this practice session, get themselves back out, and like I said, it's very, very wide, as he has a little bit of a brush with somebody that looks like they may have been intentionally wrecking. But this is where the turns get a little bit weird, is there's a little bit of a dip that'll make you lose traction coming out of turn 4 that can catch you just by complete surprise if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, and that little dip, I mean, it's all about throttle response on that dip. You put a little bit too much on that little dip on these fresh tires, or later in the run when these things are heated up, you could possibly spin around.
And that's what we're going to have to keep an eye on, because, again, this track being as flat as it is, you don't get to carry quite as much speed. If you're brave, you may actually be able to jump down below the curbing coming out of turn 2 to try to get a pass done. You don't have that luxury through 3 and 4 until you get to the very end. But 1 and 2, a little bit of curbs, perfectly fine. Coming out of 3 and 4, it can be a death sentence.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how everything plays out. I mean, these guys are going to have to play easy on the first couple of laps, let these tires kind of warm up and kind of get a little bit of scrub on there, a little bit older tires before they start trying to really try to push these corners.
And let's go ahead and check in after last week on Tsukuba. Dante Curtis takes over the lead in the points. We have 9 in the books, 7 left to go. Well, 8 left to go. Can't math today. But Mike Alexander, for the first time since the first race, has dropped into second, and we're still barely at 52 points separated in the top 5.
Yeah, you know, just barely he's outside of that top spot. But yeah, it's kind of remarkable that Mike Alexander this whole entire year come in shockingly getting that first place and being able to hold it off for the whole entire year so far.
It's those double points races that have kept him where he is. But again, Brian Hacker's only 32 points out. That's one bad night from Dante Curtis and Mike Alexander. And then Ryan Johnson, 48 back. Will Eastman, 52. It just takes one good swing of a night, and these guys are within touching distance.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Johnson the other week, I mean, near the end, I mean, he got collected up in an accident and finished near the back end. So, I mean, I kind of pushed him a little bit further back in the points where he didn't want to be. That's why he's about 48 points back right now. That was a huge miss for him that night. So, I know he's looking to rebound here tonight. Dante Curtis, he's going to have to, play a little bit harder tonight. But he's going to try and do his best to stay ahead of Mike Alexander and keep the points lead.
And tonight should be a great night for racing, as these guys, again, putting in the laps right now, doing everything that they possibly can to try to set themselves up to be in the running once we get to the tail end of the season. But they also have to remember the road race is out of the way for the year. The dirt tracks are out of the way for the year. The only real wild card and slightly different track we have is Concord, which is basically a tiny version of Pocono.
Yeah. I think, I mean, that's going to be a difficult track for them, I think. I think these cars are going to, are made pretty well for that track, but it's going to be a difficult night for them. It'll be very interesting.
I did lie. We do actually have one more dirt track. We have.
I thought we did. I don't want to say anything.
I thought we had already run the dirt track at Charlotte, so one more bit of a wild card, even though it seems that everyone has really reached the point that they understand what's going on and are ready to go. But we are ready for qualifying, and Let's see who decides to be that first person out on track. I'm kind of hoping that we end up with another big invert, as it looks like Will Eastman is going to be the first one out tonight. And he's looking to set himself up well for just getting a little bit closer in that chase to the points lead.
I mean, every point matters right now. These guys are fighting every week to try and get there. You know, feels like there's still so much racing to go, but it goes by quickly. Yeah, each week, every spot counts.
I can't believe that we're over halfway through this season at this point, as Will Eastman starts the first timed lap, and we're going to wait and see where he's going to put himself on the board on the first lap. And from my experience at the mile, the first lap's going to be the fastest.
I think you just scrub off so much speed here that it has to be your fast lap.
To where tire wear is going to be a problem. We'll probably see some relatively high fall off over the course of the laps. It'll probably reach a nice easy point, as Will Eastman does set the fastest lap. He's basically tied with Matt Cook at this point with a 33.6, and sure enough, there's Dante Curtis putting himself up to the top of the board with a 33.49, and he's just going to go ahead and park it. Brian Hacker is making his way out, and right as I do that, Ryan Johnson puts himself up into second, and then immediately moved out by Mike Alexander, who is now sitting in second. These guys are just setting laps too quickly. Why does everybody go out at the same time? It throws me off.
Yeah, I'm the one that likes to go out near the end of the practice, or the near end of the qualifying. I like to kind of sit there, gather my thoughts, and kind of go near the end.
Well, you're also the reason why I end up waiting so long during qualifying sessions, which, I'll complain about it, but Brian Hacker is looking nice and planted through 1 and 2. He's running a good line through 3 and 4, hugging that low line. Looking like he's getting a good launch out of the corner, straightened it out quickly, and he's going center. And that's only good enough for 9th at this point.
Well, who knows? I mean, with this invert coming, 9th could be good, it could be bad.
I mean, I got lucky on the road course. As we join John Cross, and he is on his out lap at this point. No, that was his actual lap. So we'll join Adam Gable, who is about to cross the line. John Cross put himself into 19th. Adam Gable gets himself up into 16th. And it looks like we have a few guys who aren't going to be turning any extra laps at this point. So, Gage Killam is on his way out of the pits to get his first time to lap in. We'll have to wait and see where he's going to put himself at this point. And this is one of the things that I do love about this track, is you do have a nice long warm-up. It's nothing terrible to where you can be up to speed for that first lap. You don't have to maybe baby your tires through the first one, try to get a little temperature in them without scrubbing too much off.
Yeah, you're able to kind of, with these cars, I mean, you're not hitting blazing speeds or needing to it. So you can kind of get up to where you need on that first lap, and that's all you need.
As Gage Killam gets a little out of sorts coming out of turn 2, just pushing a little too hard. Looks nice and tidy coming out of 4. He's probably going to be putting a second one in, because that bobble coming out of turn 2 is... He's in 20th right now. He may be able to improve. He's looking nice this time around. He's going to have that good line. Didn't quite use all the arc that he could, but if that's where he's comfortable running, it's all the more you can ask for, as he's just hugging that curb on the bottom of the track. And we'll see if he's able to improve himself out of 20th, but no, can't quite cross the line. So we are into the warm-ups, and that's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. So let's take and see. We've got 24 cars out there. Let's see how big this invert is going to be today. Not big, but not small. The top 10 are going to be swapping around. So, yeah, you kind of called it.
Like I said, ninth. He could be sitting pretty good in ninth, and he is.
And that is what we're wanting to see. So, pretty much a little bit less than half the field's going to get swapped today. So, onward to practice as the warm-up. Everyone's going to go ahead, start, get themselves back into race form and murder barrels.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do here for a pre-race entertainment.
Well, I'm going to say it's either going to be the backstretch. There is a random set of tires in the wall for some reason in the middle of the backstretch. Or it is gonna be the barrels, which I have an intimate relationship with and have ended up on top of them multiple times in a race. So, at the end of the day...
Tire barriers off a 2.
Aha! I don't have a camera set up for that. That makes me sad.
Alrighty, but yeah, 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes now for this warm-up. These guys are gonna, I think now they're just trying to see what that first couple of laps are gonna feel like. A lot of people go out right now and kind of run those laps. Like I said.
And now they're just gonna go ahead and wreck. Whatever.
But now they're saying going into 3 tire barriers.
So where we just saw some chaos.
Yes.
As we'll just stay on board right now with Jordan Madron because he'll be hitting that. We're going to cycle through, see what's going to be the best camera for this. Okay, that's asking too much. Just slowing things down so they can just have a little bit of extra chaos. If I remember correctly... 3 switches too early. Yeah, we'll stick with 1. Fortunately, iRacing on some of these tracks doesn't give us the best camera selection, as Mike Alexander in this warm-up is currently the fastest. But I also think that there's quite a few people that have yet to go ahead and turn laps.
Yeah, I think some of them are out there just trying to have some fun, and some of them take a break, step away from the track for a little bit, and they're able to, just kind of decompress before the race starts.
I mean, normally, if there's this, that's my pee break time.
Yeah, that works too.
Normally, run upstairs to the bathroom, get a good luck kiss from the wife, which doesn't ever do anything. But I think she'd kill me if I decided to stop doing that now.
You started a tradition. You have to keep it up.
I know. And... after... God, I actually just realized in 10 days our relationship will be able to vote. Yeah. It's one of those... Yeah, I'm old.
I think I'm right there with you. I'm saying that met my wife in September of 2003.
As now we are... I like that one better. As it looks like we're just going to keep seeing cars flying through. Got that timed perfectly. The best part about the virtual world is you can just destroy cars with reckless abandon.
And not piss off your team owners by destroying, hundreds of $1,000s of equipment.
All right, let's go ahead, take a quick run through where everyone qualified. In first, Dante Curtis. Second was Mike Alexander. Third, Ryan Johnson. Fourth, Dustin Shepard. Fifth, Will Eastman. Sixth, Gary Eschen. Seventh, Matt Cook. Eighth is Jared Apel. Ninth, Brian Hacker. 10th, Travis Hoefler. 11th is Justin Rigsby. And 12th is Jeff Bergener.
13th will be Adam Gable. 14th will be Rodney Huntoon. 15th will be Robbie Clavey. 16th will be Josh Naum. 17th will be Kyle Walgreen. That'll be 18th will be Jordan Madron. 19th will be Adam Bultimir. 20th will be Gage Killam. 21st will be Jonathan Cross. 22nd will be Dan Jannon. 23rd will be Randy Nichols. And starting last will be Jeff Mathis. And 24th.
All right.
2 to go on this one. They're going to extend it out so they can get the invert all sorted out.
All right, it's time for us to go ahead and get this nice race moving. And as per usual, April is out there rooting on everybody's, well, some people's favorite. We got Ryan Johnson out there due to the invert getting thrown to the back of the field to where he's going to have a little bit of an advantage, but we're going to have to wait and see if these guys are going to be capable of getting this track to go too wide tonight. Moves are going to have to be made earlier and with precision than some of the others we've seen. This track is very similar to a New Hampshire, just a little more grip and that Midwestern flair.
I think you have a little bit more speed than you do New Hampshire coming through these corners, but I think you get a little bit more banking than you do at New Hampshire. So it'll be fun to see exactly what these guys are going to be able to do tonight.
And they're lining themselves up 2 by 2. Don't understand why we're being told it's green because,
They extended 1 lap out, so it should still be 1 more. They'll probably jump back to yellow so they cross the line.
But the pace truck is out there on track leading them. We've got 12 rows. I'm looking forward to seeing how long these guys are going to be capable of making this fuel last.
We'll see how quickly everybody dives down to that bottom line.
I think it is going to be a mad dash, and you're going to take any... Basically, if there's an extra foot over the car length, these guys are going to take it. I don't think there is going to be a single person that's going to be willing to wait. As the pace truck has made its way off the track and we are getting ourselves green, Brian Hacker looks like he's going to actually get to the line first, but Travis Hoefler is going to have that preferred low line. They're going to dive it into 1, and we're already starting to see that low line. It's going to be where you want to be. Does carry a reasonable amount of speed coming out of the turn to where they are going side by side into turn 3. And we're going to see this is going to be tight as the 15 ends up going very wide. But these guys are lining up on that low line. But Brian Hacker looking like he is going to do everything he possibly can to keep them from being able to arc all the way out of the corners, and doing a fantastic job carrying that speed.
Yeah, he's keeping them pinned down in the center of the corners right now. He's doing a fantastic job up there, hanging right there. He's pinching them down as much as possible, just so they can't get the run out there. But I think Travis is going to clear him here. He's going to be able to go up through the wall, and Brian Hacker's now hopefully going to semi-draft off of him going down these straightaways, and he just hopes he can continue to do that and get past Jared Apel. As I say that, Jared Apel gets by him.
And Jared Apel drove it in deep and gets a little squirrely coming out of 2. Is that going to open up the door for Gary Eschen? No, he is going to go hard on that inside line, and he is going to take over the lead of this race.
Oh, Gary Eschen sideways in the middle of the corner there.
And
Comes up there going 3 wides.
Holds on to it, and now we are going to be going 3 wide down the front stretch. Gary Eschen thinks differently of it. That opens up the door for Dustin Shepard to take that low line. Gary Eschen kind of cuts off the nose of Mike Alexander a little bit there, and looking like he is going to have a little bit of fight in him. But now that Jared Apel has gotten himself up to the front of this pack, he has opened up a half-second lead. Dustin Shepard now taking over second place, looking to see if he can reel him back in. He's going to be clear to the wall coming out of turn 4. Gary Eschen right there on the bumper.
Yeah, Gary Eshen's looking low, just kind of giving a look right there. Mike Alexander still stuck on the low side. Travis Hoefler's right there on the outside. He's stuck out there. Brian Hacker, who started second, is way back in 7th right now. So he's falling like a rock being out there, and everybody just passing like a freight train. His first spot he could get into.
And that's going to be the thing is, again, as we actually can see, the 38 of Ryan Johnson has made his way down to that low line part of this 4-car pack that we have right here. Brian Hacker right there on the bumper finally gets the space, gets on the, we're single file. And of course, right as I say that, we're starting to see some people get a little bit aggressive. Dante Curtis manages to dive his way back in. He's up 1 spot from the invert. But now he's got a lot of fighting, and I would be honest, he's probably looking for a caution because that will help this battle as he looks low. Down on Matt Cook, can't quite get the nose where he needs it to be able to make a pass. And right as I say that, we're seeing another battle for second up here at the front. Gary Eschen is down below Dustin Shepard, and we've seen it. Doesn't matter the skill. It's not where you want to be on that outside line.
Yeah, Gary dropped it low there and just pushed his way through there. And now Dustin Shepard's on that receiving end of the stick of getting left like a freight train on the outside.
As it looks like Mike Alexander is actually trying to drive it deep into 2. Can't quite get to the bumper of Gary Eschen.
Ooh.
We see that is Ryan Johnson dropping below that curb. That might have been self-preservation, seeing the person in front of him just drive it deep into the corner. As we actually see Dustin Shepard looking low. Mike Alexander's running about a car's width up in the corner. And we are seeing some battles. And I don't know if that's advisable with these tires, but Dustin Shepard going to dive it in on Mike Alexander once again. These guys are going to look to keep him on that outside because pushing him back right now is what they need for the points, especially with Dante Curtis currently only in 7th, managing to make moves, but not quite get himself where he needs to be fighting with this group.
And it looks like these cars have a huge handful. You see them going in the corner and trying to get the car to rotate on the bottom here without sliding up in front of him. Dustin Shepard, I mean, he is wheeling the tires. You can see it go back and forth there. These cars are sliding everywhere. These guys are having their hands full, and it's put on a great action for us up here in the booth.
And as we say that, Jared Apel had about a half-second lead, but Gary Eschen is closing. There is a lot of that car in this bumper cam, and it's looking like he's getting some very strong exits out of the corner and closing the gap down, and they've got about a half-second back to Dustin Shepard right now in 3rd.
Yeah. I mean, they're driving 2 different lines, at least going in turn 1 here. You had Jared kind of drop it down to protect the line, and Gary's got a late entry, which he's trying to hit the center of the corner a little bit later. So 2 different driving styles. It looks like Jared's trying to do more of a defensive driving skills right now, and they keep Gary behind him.
And that defensive driving is allowing that second group that we have right here. We have Ryan Johnson just pushing the absolute snot out of Dustin Shepard on the straightaway, seeing if maybe he can give him a little bit of draft help to close this gap down. Could just be maybe trying to force him into a bit of an error, make him break a little bit later than he wants to and is comfortable, and get that little bit of an advantage. But it looks like Gary Eschen's trying to get his bumper down below Jared Apel. He has the car positioned perfectly, and he's just going to dive it on in there. Jared Apel, if he can't get down, which he manages to, he was going to be left there. He does the right thing, preserves it, gets himself into second, and he's having a fantastic run, taking advantage of that invert to get himself at the front of the field.
Yeah, I watched Jared Apel as he was entering one there. He knew he was going to get past there. He backed out of the throttle and rotated the car to the bottom. Now, that's very smart of him. He could have played on the outside, tried to battle with him, but he knew that the position was gone, and he backed out of the throttle a little bit earlier so he could rotate it down to the bottom. That was a fantastic move from him, so he didn't get freight trained, because this line is getting longer by the second.
And that's the thing, is these guys, we're starting to reach that point that the tires are going to make a difference. Those guys that may have pushed a little extra harder to get themselves into the positions that they needed to be to have the track position, knowing it is not the easiest track to pass on, they could be in trouble at this point if they did it for too long.
Don't drive like me lately. I've been driving terribly for these long run speeds. These guys look like they're doing a fantastic job right now. Nobody's really falling too far off the pace. Brian Hacker dropped back to 7th, and he's slowly working his way back up. He got past Mike Alexander right there and a few others, so he's trying to make his way back up. You see Dante Curtis, he's making his way back up from the invert. So these guys are trying to come up through the field, but these guys at the front of the field don't want to give up any positions.
And I have a feeling that at this point in the race, don't push. We haven't had a caution yet. Knock on that wooden desk. And just save your tires for later. Make it to where you can fight hard when the time comes. And I got to call it out. Two people right now, Jeff Bergener in that 21, that beautiful chrome car. It's been changing a lot on us lately, but he is up 4 positions, did not get any assistance from the invert. And then we got to talk about our guy who ended up at the back of the field for winning last week. Randy Nichols is up 10 positions, currently running in 13th, has a little bit of work cut out for him, but he is doing a fantastic job getting through this traffic, currently right on the bumper of Matt Cook, seeing what he can do to get himself up into this battle, because right now our front 8 are all separated by a second and a half.
Yeah, these guys are really close quarters, and I see Jeff Bergener back there. He's trying to make some moves, trying to look below Dante Curtis. He's the only one right now kind of showing a hand or showing a look right now. And there's everybody else is kind of doing follow the leader. They want to get past him, but as these tires age, they're not able to make any of the passes right now.
And you're just hoping that everybody around you is killing the tires just a little bit more than you are. As we see Dante Curtis, he just keeps poking out. Not really threatening, but definitely letting Mike Alexander know that one little slip up and I am on your quarter panel.
I mean, you have to look at it right now. I think these guys need to start looking at it and start going, when should I pit? We're at lap 20 of 100. When do I pit? Do I undercut it? Do I stay out longer? What can I do differently to get past it? Because right now it's showing it's a track position track. Everybody's about equalized for speed. Lap times are very similar all the way across the board for the top 7, 8, 9, 8 guys right now stacked up. Will Eastman's trying to close there. How can you gain track position on a pit stop? Because the pit stop's going to be make it or break it for you.
As we jumped a little bit back to back in the field. Travis Hoefler just fighting back. Got to start up at the front. Had a little bit of bad luck and just ended up having to work his way back through. But he's starting to pick people off and try to make some moves. He's now trying to track down Matt Cook, who's about a half a second in front of him. But he also has a little bit of pressure from Gage Killam right there behind him. And got to get up here. We were talking about Jeff Bergener manages to get a pass done on Dante Curtis. Dante Curtis is looking like he's going to try to cross him over going into turn 3, but can't quite get there. And I got to back this one up a little bit because... And it just looks like he just drives it in hard. Kind of advertised that he was going to do it to where Dante Curtis kind of just gets out of the way. Let him do it. Maybe he messes it up and lets him get back around.
I mean, at this point, you're at the end of the line of to follow the leader, basically. Nobody's really making any sort of headway right now. And having somebody on your front and rear bumper, yeah, a little bit more nerve-wracking, so to speak. You know, more room for errors. Now he's at the back of this line. He can kind of run his race. Will Eastman's just a couple seconds back. You know, he might close the gap, he might not. But now Dante doesn't have to worry about somebody rear-ending him or trying to shove it underneath him or anything. He can kind of just run his race, relax, hopefully cool down his tires a little bit, and then kind of regroup. As we see right now, I'm dropping below Jeff.
As Jared Apel, and that wasn't what I wanted, is making the move on Gary Eschen. He has that nose out in front, and Gary Eschen starting to drop a little bit, but this is getting a little bit spicy up here at the front. We are side by side. As Dustin Shepard manages to get himself around, we see Gary Eschen get a little bit into Brian Hacker right there. They managed to hang on to it, but these guys, it's getting dicey. A little bit of contact between the 89 and the 51. The 89 is a little loose, but Ryan Johnson is right there on the bumper trying to push it and gets a little tap. And ooh, this is, oh, that is a save right there from Ryan Johnson. Got a little bit of the tip, collects it, manages to hang on to third and keep Brian Hacker on the outside. But these guys, we're starting to see those moves being made. That inside line is starting to form up. The 51 gets a little bit loose on corner entry, but manages to get himself all the way down to the line. And the person that has got to be loving all of this right now is Dante Curtis, as he was making moves. Gary Eschen, our leader, 3 laps ago, is getting shuffled to the back of this conga line, but it also let Will Eastman and Justin Rigsby join the party.
Yeah, these guys have been shuffling positions here. It kind of slows them down just a little bit. Lets Will Eastman and Justin Rigsby close that 2 to 3 second gap that they had. And now we see Dante Shepard underneath Gary Eschen. He is fighting to stay underneath him to get by him. And Gary Eschen, like you said, fell all the way back. Jared Apel's up front right now. Ooh, he's just getting past Dustin Shepard. Dustin Shepard goes really wide on that exit right now. And Brian Hacker's now underneath him, going into turn 3.
And these guys were not content to sit in a line any longer and decided to spice things up for us, as Ryan Johnson is trying to push Brian Hacker all the way up, which is going to give him the ability to go in there. We see Dustin Shepard almost, he looked like he was trying to turn in, but Ryan Johnson was there. Mike Alexander is now below him. And we're seeing the side-by-side of the teammates to where Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard looking to get themselves up a little bit further. Dante Curtis now running in 6th. And we need to see some more shakeups. Come on, guys. Let's do it.
On the top three has now gotten a little bit of a gap going right now. And Brian Hacker's dropping down low in that second spot to run the more defensive line right there. You saw, I think he's getting a little worried right there with Brian Johnson behind him. Brian Johnson is showing some pretty good speed tonight. I mean, Brian Hacker's got some great speed as well. He was able to start in second, but fell back on the outside line due to just being there and couldn't find a spot. Worked his way back up the second. So, you know, things are shaking out. People are moving. Everybody's looking to try and find another spot here or there.
As Brian Hacker's looking down below, Jared Apel forces him up to that outside line. Jared Apel goes wide, tries to cut him down. He's going to run as wide as he possibly can to use as much momentum. But I think just that little bit of an aggressive move from Brian Hacker is going to spell his doom for a little while, as this line is just forming up.
It was like Jeff might have gotten the back at Dante, or Dante got loose on his own. Was able to save it though. Great save by Dante there in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
And we are getting dicey once again. We have Will Eastman running where he possibly can, trying to get himself back to the low line just in front of Jeff Bergener. But it looks like Mike Alexander is jumping out of line for a second there. Manages to get himself. Will he be able to clear Jared Apel as we come out of the turn? I don't think he is. He didn't. He went a little bit low. And now we're seeing Dustin Shepard as we enter turn 1. 33 laps in the books. Now we're starting to see those bit of desperation moves as everyone probably just getting a little antsy.
Yeah, right now the top two are kind of pushing each other. Still going on the back straightaway right there. Mike Alexander's trying to close the gap here. Dustin Shepard's straightened back out. He's finally cleared. Dante Curtis is right behind him. Jared Apel almost found a spot, but Will Eastman comes in there and does not allow him to stay in there. Looks like Jared Apel's going to go from front to the back of this longest line that we've had all night long up here.
And all because of one very aggressive corner entry from Brian Hacker, who is going to lead us at this point. Gets a little loose in the middle of the corner there to where Ryan Johnson is right there on the bumper. Is he going to see if he can take a run at the lead? He's just going to push him and just be content running in second right now. And we have caution. And that looks like it was Justin Rigsby. Oh, good Lord. We're just going to go straight to the blimp here. Let's see what happens as these guys just going into corner entry. Goes in a little bit. Gary Eschen kind of pushes him down, and yeah, there was no one really anywhere to go there, and that one's kind of a spotter thing.
Yeah, I think he wanted to dive it all the way down. Gary thought he had enough of a line to drop himself down. I think
you know what?
I don't think Gary realized that he was going to try to dive it in that deep from that far back.
We're going to go ahead and go onto the roll bar camera because I think this is going to be the best view. Yeah, just goes in. Gary looks like he's trying to cut him off. I just think that was just a bad spotter call, to where he was definitely playing defense there, and just went a little bit later. The spotter said he was clear and just didn't quite have it. As shock of shocks, the entire field is in pit lane.
And this just takes another one of those things out. I mean, you can somewhat blow your pit stop here, but you know, I was looking forward to the green flag pit stops here. I want to see, you know, we've seen some big shakeups through green flag pit stops through these guys. So I just want to see what these guys would do underneath that scenario.
As it looks like this is a 4-tire stop.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to try to do it. I don't think nobody's going to try to do right side only right now.
No, that's for later.
You're going to have like maybe 10, 15 laps on your, maybe 10 laps come in, and Do right sides only.
And these guys are taking an awful lot of fuel as we're seeing the first person make their way off of pit road, and that's Jordan Madron. Brian Hacker looks like he is actually going to beat Dante Curtis off barely there, but Dante with an excellent pit stop makes his way up into third because, yeah, Jordan Madron, 10 seconds faster than everyone else. I'm wondering if he just didn't full fuel.
I mean, he could have just went through and ran thinking that, you know, hey, we're going to have to cut this segment in X amount of laps. I'm only going to take fuel to that X amount of laps because I don't need a full fuel because I'm not going to take it to the end. I'm only going to take it till halfway of this fuel run or 3/4 away. I'm not going to fill it all the way up. I'm going to get it to the certain point, get track position, because track position is king tonight.
I mean, he was in his pit stall for 30 seconds. That's 4 tires in these cars. And it also looks like John Cross is going to be able to get the wave around, get a lap back, get himself onto the lead lap. Once we get ourselves going side by side once again. But I would assume, again, as the lights on the pace truck are off, these guys are going to go ahead and get lined up side by side. Jordan Madron's going to lead us to green. I'm curious if just because, I mean, I don't have fuel numbers for this. It's a relatively large track. We have 100 miles, and these guys run 40% fuel, max fuel. I would assume that he's doing this either knowing that there is going to be another pit stop in everyone's future, or everybody else decided, you know what, I'm going to take full fuel. Maybe this is going to be what cautions breed cautions. So let's get the full fuel and maybe not have to stop again. As the pace truck is off and Jordan Madron can go when he wants, and he is off already. And it looks like Dante Curtis was wise to what he was doing, is going to get himself up into second. Ryan Johnson gets himself down onto that low line. Brian Hacker is going to be in a bit of trouble being on that outside line with 2 smart drivers right there on his inside. And then Mike Alexander wanting to get himself back up into the front in the maximum amount of points that he can possibly get to try to get himself a little bit closer and stay within touching distance of Dante Curtis. But we're seeing a lot of shakeups back here as Dustin Shepard, the big loser on some of those trains run by that outside line, gets himself, keeps Mike Alexander up on that outside line, and these guys are going to do everything they can to keep him there.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Brian Hacker on the restart. He started on the outside, and he wisely backed out of it, trying to battle Ryan Johnson. He backed out of it and found that spot right there in fourth. Now Jordan's getting past by the top 3 here. If he was wise, he would also back out of it right now because there's a spot right behind him. But I think he did a little bit too late. Dustin Shepard was able to close that gap very well. And now Jordan's going to be shuffled to the back.
And our points leader has taken over the lead of this race, but Ryan Johnson is looking a little bit low, trying to see what he may be able to do to get around Dante Curtis. These guys fought hard throughout the course of last season, and I don't think many people are going to be surprised that they're fighting right now.
Yeah.
But Jordan Madron is not going away. He did get to lead us to the green here, and he's doing everything he possibly can to keep Mike Alexander on that low line. We now see, oh God, Jeff Bergener. He is racing hard tonight, and Jordan Madron does a smart thing, just kind of backs out of it, gets himself behind, holds on to 7th place. But the big thing is Randy Nichols started at the back, up 15 places into 8th and right on his bumper.
Yeah, these guys, man, they're pushing it like crazy. We got four fresh set of tires, man. I can't speak right now, and I think they're trying to get everything they can out of it because they know that this is the freshest it's going to be, and this is where they could be more dicey at the beginning of the run versus near the end of the run.
As Jared April's looking like he's going to throw one down on last week's winner, manages to squeeze the car in there. The 69 is going to give him a little bit of room coming out of the corner, but there's nothing he's going to be able to do to really make that outside work. And he's smart, backs out on the corner, cuts off Will Eastman, makes it to where he can't quite make the move, but Jared April makes up a position. He's right where he qualified in 8th.
Yeah, Brian Hacker's doing a heck of a job right now, staying in 3rd. He's under pressure right now by Dustin Shepard. Mike Alexander's right behind him. They got a 5-car breakaway, and there's about a 2-car gap in between him and Jeff. But Jeff was quick on the first run, as we see Dante right there looking to throw it down low. Did not happen. And Ryan Johnson blocked that move. He was driving out the mirror going at turn 3.
Once we get a little bit of a break here, we got to go back and watch that pass, because Ryan Johnson manages to get around Dante Curtis and take over the lead of this race. And I'm expecting these two to keep battling, even though if I'm in Dante's shoes, let's just wait. Don't need to murder the tires this early into the run. We're not even halfway in this race. It's time to just go ahead, be calm, let Ryan Johnson get a few laps led. And maybe, as it's looking like there's a lot of battling going on, as Mike Alexander, Dustin Shepard, and that's Jeff Bergener, gets a little loose, ends up down on the pit road exit. And that's going to back up this back pack. But if I'm in this top 3, no fighting, open a gap.
Yeah, you would hope that the guys behind you want to work with you to kind of pull away, and then once you get it pulled away, you're hoping you save your tire a little bit more than the next guy, and then you make your move.
As I got to jump back into this scrum that we have going on right here. This is 6th through 10th. And these guys are battling hard. Jeff Bergener, after that little bit of a bobble, he's currently running back in 6th. Jared April right there on his bumper, but this is Will Eastman under pressure from Randy Nichols. Jordan Madron right there in the battle. He's on that outside line, showing a little bit of weakness since the 20 is trying to get the bumper down below. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and, clip some bumpers, but everybody's clean, and it looks like we are probably back to single file.
Yeah, the top 3, they've pulled out a little bit of a gap over Mike Alexander, Dustin Shepard. They're running kind of 2-car back by themselves, and then another like good 5 cars back to Jeff Bergener, Jared April, Will Eastman, and it looks like Randy Nichols back there. They're all trying, as we see Brian Hacker dropping it low up front. He is going to take Dante's Curtis's spot for 2nd. Dante's falling back to 3rd here. Mike Alexander with that closes the gap ever so slightly. Dante, though, is looking to do a crossover down the back straightaway. He's underneath him. Looks like he's going to take back to 2nd place.
And that's not the kind of thing that you're wanting to see, to where now it's a 5-car pack with only about a second separating them from that 2nd pack. And Jeff Bergener, we've seen him all night. He's driving hard and does not want to be left behind.
Yeah, Jeff's doing what he can to get back up there. Just don't overwork your tires. I think these guys up front, they're going to try to start dicing it up here in a little bit when they get there, and just slowly close the gap. Don't overwork the car. Hopefully the guys behind you have the same mindset, but it looks like Jared April doesn't. Jared April's underneath him right now, going down the front straightaway, cross line, trying to take the spot away from Jeff.
Nah, and we have caution as it looks like Jordan Madron and Justin Rigsby. Oh God, I haven't hit play and this already looks dangerous. So these guys going through 3 and 4. It looks like, oh, Jordan Madron just cuts down a little bit, catches a bumper, and now we're getting ourselves through. Did I lose? That's all right. Let's just go to the blimp because this will give us the best view of this. As Jordan Madron just cuts down, catches a little bit of the 91, and that gets him out of sorts. And then just an innocent bystander. That's highly unfortunate at this point. But let's wait and see. Do these guys come in to maybe get a little bit of fresh rubber up here at the front? No, everybody's on their way in.
You stay out. You're a sitting duck right now. These guys, they want these 4 fresh set of tires.
And they dive in. I'm not sure if we're going to see 4 tires, but we're definitely going to see tires as everybody sees their right sides lifted up, possibly a little bit of extra fuel, and 4 tires.
Nobody's brave. Oh, there's one right there. Brian Hacker.
That's Robbie Clavey coming out. Or no, that was Brian Hacker looking to get himself back up there. Definitely, those were some short stops. I'm going to say that is probably only 2 tires for just about everybody.
The last time we were about just over 50 seconds sitting inside your pit stall. This is over 20 seconds. So, yeah, these guys, different pit strategy right now. I think Robbie just stayed out.
And that was probably to get a lap back. But while they're catching the pace car, let's go ahead and throw to a quick commercial break and hear from the sponsors of the North-South Racing League.
5 Star Realty Group is located on the Emerald Coast in beautiful Panama City, Florida. 5 Star Realty Group has years of experience in residential properties, investment opportunities, vacation rentals, and commercial properties, and looks forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Kelly's Custom Engraving is a locally owned and operated business located in Wellville, North Carolina, specializing in custom engraving of wood, leather, glass, acrylic, and many more materials. Be sure to like and follow their Facebook page to view all of their amazing products and place your order.
And we are back just as the pace truck is about to make its way off. And no, I lied.
Nope, it's won the green here. They extended by a lap, and you're just a little bit low there, Josh.
It's because my microphone decided to go farther away from my face than normal. But no, that was Robbie Clavey deciding to. I think he just did a splash and go. He decided, because he was only in his pit stall for 5 seconds there. He just wanted to get that little bit of extra fuel, which means these guys we were looking at probably, that first caution was probably perfectly timed for just about everybody.
Yeah, I think they're going to be able to kind of make it from here. You got the splash and go here. He's going to be able to lead, so the pace truck's about to come off as we round turn 4. Robbie's going to lead him to the green flag here.
And this should be interesting. As the pace truck's off, so he gets to go where he wants. He goes early, manages to get himself clear of Ryan Johnson, who chops the nose off of Brian Hacker. Dante Curtis is looking to get himself in there. Jared Apel is trying to get himself up there, but can't quite do it. But Ryan Johnson is staying right there on the bumper, making sure he does not give away that low line to Brian Hacker. And it's looking like that fuel only is probably not the way to have gone, but he did lead some laps.
Yeah, it looks like he wisely gave up the position there. He didn't try to stay in the racing group. He let Ryan Johnson and the rest of these guys go by. He's going to stay up high. But yeah, got a couple laps led right there. Just being out front here feels pretty good and competitive here. We got Jeff Bergener, though. He's stuck on the high side right now looking for a spot. He almost had a clear spot, but Mike Alexander was right there. Could not fill the void.
And we're 3 wide at the back of the pack here to where Robbie Clavey's getting himself around, but when in doubt, Jeff Bergener's in the middle of everything. Throughout the course of the night, guaranteed, if there is something crazy going on, that Chrome 21 is involved as Gary Eshen's down low on him right now, trying to get around. Can't quite get up to the wall going into turn 3, but the advantage he's going to have on that low line is going to make it to where he can. The 21 needs to drop down, get himself in front of Matt Cook. He manages to get that done, and we are back to single file with the exception of Robbie Clavey.
Yeah, Robbie's still stuck out there. He's just following like a brick right now. Up front, though, nothing has changed. We're still single file all the way through the pack right now. Nobody's really looking anywhere. Just racing right now. We're not seeing as much aggressiveness on this restart as we saw in the last one. So maybe it's due to the 2-tire stop here.
And that's what these guys are going to have to keep in mind is we still have 39 laps to go. We are only on lap 62 of the 100 tonight. And theoretically, this could have been the last stop if we stay green. So nursing those tires to have that extra speed at the end, especially if you only took 2, it's what you need to be doing right now.
I mean, that's pretty good strategy. We see Brian Hacker running a little bit different line. Poked his nose out. I think he's going to try to send it here in turn 1 and get the position by Ryan Johnson.
And Dante Curtis is following up on that low line, making sure that he is on that bumper to where Ryan Johnson's under threat right now. The question is he going to continue fighting to where he stays alongside Brian Hacker down the backstretch, but it's not going to stay that way. He's doing a good job fighting, but now there's such a long line behind him that he could be in trouble. But Dante Curtis bobbles a little bit on the exit of 4, and that gives Ryan Johnson just a little bit of an opportunity. These guys are racing hard, but Ryan Johnson letting Brian Hacker get that little bit of an advantage means he is going to get a little bit crazy as we see Gary Eshen for some reason down on the line in the backstretch, but it's working for him until, sure enough, Jeff Bergener is now down below him. But this is the kind of battling that Ryan Johnson wants to be seeing, because this is, all right, these guys, you said they're going to be a little calm, and they weren't pushing as hard as they were after the last restart. That was a lie.
Oh, man, Ryan Johnson tried to force it. He saw a little bit of a gap there, pushed Jared Abel just a little bit in the corner, but Will Eastman was able to really suck up to the back of Jared and take away that little spot that Ryan Johnson thought he was going to have. But Ryan Johnson will fall back a little bit further. But thankfully for Ryan, though, that the Jeff Bergener and Gary Eshen thing going on battle right now kind of opened up a line right there for him. So there's a now front pack and a second pack formed up. Ryan Johnson didn't fall all the way back to about 13th where he was looking at.
And we're seeing this battle right now from the blimp. This is Gary Eshen trying to get around Matt Cook, and they were a little bit closer than comfort would normally allow to where it looked like there may have been contact, but there wasn't quite as much as I would have expected. But Matt Cook is doing what he can to try to fight and hang on to that position. And it looks like right now Gage Killam is going to throw it in, gets a little bit sideways. The 20 has to check up for him, gets down below, and just continuing the shakeups is now Dustin Shepard running in that in a podium position earlier, now towards the back, trying to get himself up into this front pack once again and doing everything in his power to try to make that happen.
Yeah, and then we get the leaders up front there. Dante's been pushing Brian Hacker down the straightaways for the past couple of laps, and Jared April's looking pretty hungry right now in third as he's looking low off of 4.
And that may not be the smartest move, because that could open up the door for Will Eastman to get a good run, because, again, these straightaways are not short. So he really needs to make sure that if he's going to make a move, it is perfectly timed, as we see Jared April right now looking down below Dante Curtis. He's going to throw it into 3, force him up on the outside line, and that is probably going to end up shuffling Dante Curtis to the back, as it looks like Will Eastman's going to be a gentleman and leave him a little bit of room. And that is a very, very lucky situation. But now Will Eastman has that 75 right on his bumper, and these guys, this group of 6, they've got 30 laps. They need to go ahead and calm down for just a little bit, as it looks like Jared April is going to throw it in once again, but can't quite get to the bumper. But Brian Hacker gets a little bit loose on entry, and that's going to make it to where I have a feeling the 51, he's going to poke a nose out here soon. And there it is, and he is going deep, and Brian Hacker has been passed by the 51. Is he going to be able to battle around on the outside? It doesn't look like it, because there is going to be no room left for him. Dante Curtis is going to push the 51 as far as he possibly can to try to get himself up into second. And Brian Hacker, after leading a few laps, is going to be shuffled back, and now this 6-car breakaway is now 8, as sure enough, Jeff Bergener right there, as Will Eastman throws one down on Brian Hacker. Looked like Brian Hacker might have been clear, but he wasn't quite there. The 13 takes advantage and is getting himself as close as he can. He's going to get past the 11. The 75 is looking to throw it down a little bit further. These guys are getting a little racy a little bit earlier than they were previously.
Yeah, right now Brian Hacker's just falling back. There's a little bit of gap behind Ryan Johnson. Let off the throttle just a little bit right there. It sucks it in. Does a defensive move because he let off the throttle to make sure he got in that spot. So he threw a wonderful block right there. Great defensive move. But, I mean, you went from first all the way back, as we see Dante Curtis poke his nose out of turn 2. Drops it down low on Jared April, so now Jared April's going to start falling backwards.
And it's almost like, and this is probably going to share too much, it's like cycle racing. You let somebody run the point for a little while, and then they drop to the back, and you just keep rotating. These guys keep doing this as Dante Curtis takes over the lead and manages to open up probably the biggest gap we have seen in this group, with a leader from second place pretty much the entirety of this race, as we're seeing Mike Alexander and Ryan Johnson forcing Jared April up, and Jeff Bergener looking around the outside of Gary Eschen. The more these guys fight, the bigger this is going to get, as Brian Hacker throws it down below Jared April. It looks like they were going to get single file. The 51 is trying to get himself in front of the 23, but it looks like the 23, who blinks out for a second there, is going to be able to, no, he's not quite going to be able to get the job done, as the 51 goes down low early to make sure and block off any kind of an aggressive move. But Dante Curtis up at the front of this race, Will Eastman right there behind him. And these guys just trying to get whatever they can with 25 to go.
It's looking like these guys who's sitting in the catbird seat in second, they just get a heck of a draft coming off the corner. They kind of set themselves up, get the good draft, and there's really nothing that a leader can do. I mean, you got to throw the huge block. I mean, that's the only thing you can see. And these guys really haven't thrown that block. They've kind of just they see the pass coming, they just let it happen. But with 24 laps to go, the laps are winding down. The blocks are coming. These guys are going to start trying to throw it down low. And these leaders and these other cars who aren't going to let them have this spot.
And that is going to be just one of the more entertaining things that we are going to be seeing through the course of this race. Is I want to go on board with Mike Alexander because he has a great view from the helmet cam of what Will Eastman's doing. He's running a little bit wide, and perfect timing as he gets, that may not have been planned, but these guys are going side by side coming out of the corner as we could see Mike Alexander fighting with the wheel. Ryan Johnson right there on the bumper, and that is going to shuffle Will Eastman to the back, and Dante Curtis is loving everything that's going on behind him because now he's working on opening up a half-second gap to second place with 22 laps left. That he could not be happier, even though I'm sure he's more just focused on enter the corner, hit the apex, drive out.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's trying to figure out, like, how can he get away from this draft? That's what's happening, you know. He gets that little bit of a buffer, but then they get the draft on the straightaways here, and that just pulls them right back to him. So, you know, what if he starts to zigzagging down the front and back stretch to kind of break up this draft? As you can see, Mike Alexander right back on his heels.
And he is right there once again, but we're starting to see slightly different lines coming out of the corner to where some people are going to hit that apex a little bit later. As Mike Alexander, he's dropping down early, whereas Dante is going for the later apex, trying to see what he may be able to do. Mike Alexander looks like he may have bobbled ever so slightly out of that corner to where he lost a little momentum. Ryan Johnson's right there on the bumper. And these guys just waiting. And we're starting to see some of these guys, the rear end's looking a little bit sloppy out there. And that's not the button I wanted to hit. As we're seeing Jared Apel and Jeff Bergener there at the back of this pack just swapping. But now the front three have managed to get themselves about 0.4 of a second over Will Eastman. And these guys are just trying to set up, give the pressure, maybe try to force a little bit of an error to take advantage and get below.
I was watching Will Eastman there in the last lap there. He threw two great blocks there on Brian Hacker. Brian Hacker had some good runs there on him. But Will Eastman said, nope, we're less than 20 to go. I'm going to throw these blocks now. You're not going to get this run on me anymore.
And it looks like Mike Alexander, when he is exiting the corner, he's staying low to make sure that no one can get the run out of the corner. I'm wondering if he's recognized that corner exit may be his weak spot and make it to where people cannot get that row below him, run below him early and just hold him back. Because, yeah, every time he is taking a much lower exit, though he is getting a fantastic run to keep up with Dante Curtis. And it looks like he's about to try to throw something down in the near future. Tries it going into turn one, can't quite hang on to it. Dante Curtis carries the speed, gets himself clear once again, but wondering how many more times Mike Alexander has that in his tires.
As we're talking about this, Will Eastman loses 2 spots right now. One to Brian Hacker, one to Gary Eschen, and Jeff Bergener right now is trying to probably going to try to set his eyes on him to get by him here in the next couple of laps. Start to put pressure on him as this battle still rages on. We got first through, was it 8th, 9th here?
First through 8th. Yeah, these guys are only separated by about 2 seconds. Will Eastman is definitely doing everything he can to make sure that Jeff Bergener does not throw it down on entry. And we've seen it time and time again from him today. That's what he loves. He's showing his hand right now. Will Eastman just not quite leaving enough space. But the front 3 separated by a half a second as Ryan Johnson just pushing Mike Alexander into those corners.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson's not giving him any room right now to make a mistake. Right, Mike Alexander's got to be on point 24/7 over the next course of laps, because Ryan Johnson is just right there on his rear bumper. I think we had to check up really bad. That might give Brian Hacker a run here coming out of turn 2.
And that's looking like that's exactly what he was thinking about. Doesn't quite get the run out of the corner that he thinks he needs to. And we see Will Eastman actually drop to the very back there to where the top 5 all together have about a half second on 6th through 8th. But it looks like Ryan Johnson's giving a little more space. Maybe just backing off, not running as hard. Try to cool the tires, as we are starting to see the sun set ever so slightly on track right now. But these guys are fighting unbelievably hard. And with the laps ticking off, I don't know how much more time these tires are really going to be able to have to make those kinds of brave moves.
I mean, right now, I think Dante Curtis, I mean, he's out there in front. He doesn't have the draft to kind of push him that far into the corner at higher speeds. We see Gary Eschen dropping low underneath the Brian Hacker and going into turn 2 or 3, excuse me. Getting the pass done. Brian Hacker, though, wants to do the crossover move down the back or front straightaway here. Well, he's going to try to hang there going into turn 1.
He's going to have just enough of a nose there to where Gary Eschen is going to move to the back, slot in right behind him, and it worked. Now it's just a matter of, will he be able to do it at the right time, because now Jeff Bergener is right there on his bumper. And that's going to give this front group just a little bit of extra breathing space.
I mean, this helps Ryan Johnson, in my opinion, the most. He can make all the moves he wants right now and doesn't have to worry about Brian Hacker on his back bumper if he makes a mistake while trying to set up a move. But he has to act quick, because another lap or so, that draft's going to pull Brian right back to his bumper.
Well, I think if you make the move a little bit too early at this point, you run the risk of going from 3rd all the way back to 8th, because these guys have enough space that they would be able to hang him out on that high line. And with the age of the tires, it's very much a possibility. But with the fighting that we keep seeing, we've got Gary, and caution is out.
We'll make this a spicy ending here.
Oh, good Lord. And that looks like Adam Gable, Matt Cook, and Gage Killam were all involved in this. Let's go ahead and see what happens. And apparently
Adam Gable.
That was the wrong one. As Matt Cook looks to throw one down on Randy Nichols. Gets a little bit of a bumper, and Randy Nichols goes And
Like
yeah,
Adam Gable didn't even know he was sitting there. Just
yep, that's one of the problems with these kinds of tracks is since there's not a lot of banking, it doesn't really funnel the car any specific way.
all right. Do they go in? Do they stay out? Do they go in? Do they stay out?
You were sitting duck, like you said. It's been 30 odd laps. What?
Ooh. Will
Oh,
Eastman is the first one to dive in.
that we're gonna be going green with about 5 laps to go. These guys, if they cycle out, oh, there's a lot more people staying out right now. So these guys, they took the gamble thinking that just about everybody was going to go ahead and make their way into pit lane. They didn't. To where the top 14, as far back as Justin Rigsby, these guys, that was, it was the right move. Not enough people stayed or went in to really make this be a good move for them.
I don't see a two-tire stop even if they even if they did 4. I don't see starting from 9th or 10th where they pitted from being a viable option. I think you'd have to be around 4th or 5th. That's where from that part of the pack on back, that's where they would have to pit to make it work. Being 9th or 10th, single lane track, you won't be able to really get anything done.
And to be honest, this is one of those things that I am always on the receiving end of the absolute worst pit stop decisions in these situations. Either I'm going to be one of 3 people that stay out, or I'm going to be one of 3 people that go in. Because in my mind, the logical decision here, because, okay, it's going to probably be 4 laps to go when we get this restarted. I'm thinking that everybody is going to see the value in putting tires on. It's been a very dependent track for those tires. So I'm thinking everybody's going to do it. And sure enough, right now, we had 5 people going.
Well, if we look at it, if they did 4 tires the last pit stop, then coming and doing a 2-tire stop makes sense. But they did a 2-tire stop last time, so to come back on to put 2 more right sides on when your lefts are 50 plus laps old, I don't know if that's a good decision. You have no clue how your car is going to handle at that point.
Meh. Roll the dice. But we're going to be going green with 4 laps to go. We are ready for a shootout. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm expecting 1 more caution. Because 4 laps to go, it's
all bunched up.
It is go time for everyone. And honestly, the person that I think is going to benefit, well, the 2 that are going to benefit the most from this, Ryan Johnson and Jeff Bergener being 2nd and 3rd on that low line as the pace truck is off. Dante Curtis is off. And Ryan Johnson does not necessarily get the best jump, but he's going to be able to throw it in on Mike Alexander and be able to hold him off here. Hopefully he's going to be able to really keep and get clear of him, because Brian Hacker drops down to that low line in front of Jeff Bergener, and Dante Curtis loving the fact that these guys aren't really able to get formed up. Ryan Johnson's going to be able to get clear, barely jump in front of the 75. But with 3 laps to go, Ryan Johnson's going to be trying to track down Dante Curtis. Saw a few passing moves, saw what may work for him.
Yellow is out again.
See? 1 more. I don't think we're going to have another, but
Now, Ryan Johnson is the one on the outside. That last...
he did not want to see that. All right, let's see what happens here. Just a little bit of a gaggle going on towards the back here. Oh, Will Eastman gets a tip going into the corner, and that's all she wrote for him.
Yeah, looking at the initial start on that last one, Mike Alexander was clear of Ryan Johnson right there. He could have dropped it down low before getting to turn one, but chose not to. But you know, with this caution coming out where it was, perfectly timed for him. Now he is sitting on basically going to be second spot, unless Ryan Johnson can do what he did earlier and time it just right and drop it right behind the second place and keep it.
Well, and that's what he's looking for. We have ourselves a green-white checker to close this one out. So we have 2 laps of racing, unless there's a caution on the first lap.
Yeah, these guys only have one.
Go time.
These guys only have one green-white checker, and Dante's hoping to get a great restart and a quick caution.
No fighting. I mean, honestly, with him being able to dictate the restart, there's no reason he should not be able to hang on for the win, especially knowing that both lines behind him are probably going to give him close to a half second before we even get out of turn 2.
Yeah, I think by the time they get up to speed, will be closer to backstretch. If Ryan is still charging him right now, or fighting with Mike Alexander for the outside, he might be able to pull out just enough before that draft kicks in and they catch him.
And that's really all the more we could ask for. Is just want a little bit of fighting to close this one out. We have seen some very good passes from people throwing it in deep into the turns. And again, here's to hoping that that's what we get to see this time around, as Ryan Johnson is trying to convince Dante to take that outside line. But unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. But the one thing that Ryan Johnson can hang his hat on right now is, honestly, 2 laps is not enough for him to really drop too far back. We've seen the outside line fight for a good 2 laps. It's all just going to come down to, where does Mike Alexander get on this restart?
Yeah, Mike Alexander can, if he can time this restart very well with Dante, he can leave Ryan Johnson out to dry. But Ryan Johnson is very aggressive, and I think he's looking for that gap behind Dante, and he's going to drop down as soon as he can.
I firmly agree with that, and we've seen him get some fantastic starts. And if there is a car length there for him to take, he will be taking it. And they're stacked up 2 by 2, coming through the last set of turns before we go green one last time. As the pace truck is getting ready to pull off, we're going to see where Dante Curtis goes. Ryan Johnson's right there with him. Dante goes as Ryan Johnson tried to time it as well as he could. Brian Hacker is going to push him, but that is going to give the opportunity to Mike Alexander as Ryan Johnson gets the jump. And we are back to caution. And no. Wait, maybe.
That's it. That's all they get.
That is the end. We had some wrecks right after. So that is going to do it. And Dante Curtis on the final lap under caution. Ryan Johnson manages to hang on And you were the one who called it because you were just like, yeah, he's hoping for that get the jump, get the immediate caution. And that is exactly what happens as Dante Curtis comes back from the 10 position invert to take the win and expand his points lead on the night. And just make sure you actually cross the line. I have made this mistake before.
Yeah, you can't give up right now. You got to cross that line no matter what. Even though it's a green-white checker, the yellow finishes it. You got to go all the way around and actually cross that start-finish line. You leave early, you're done.
Yeah, that. So, waiting for the results to have made their way in officially, and we have them. So, once it shows up. Dante Curtis is our winner. Ryan Johnson in second. Mike Alexander third. Brian Hacker fourth. Jeff Bergener in fifth. Sixth is Jared Apel. Seventh, Gage Killam. 8, Josh Nelms. 9th, Adam Boltemere. 10th is Kyle Walgreen. 11th, John Cross. And 12th is Gary Eschen.
13th will be Will Eastman. 14th will be Matt Cook. 15th is Jeff Mathis. 16th is Dustin Shepard. 17th is Travis Hoefler. 18th is Rodney Huntoon. 19th is Robbie Clavey. 20th is Jordan Madron. 21st is Justin Rigsby. 22nd is Randy Nichols. 23rd, Adam Gable. And 24th will be Dan Janin.
All right. It is that time. And once again, we get to sit and chat with Mr. Dante Curtis after a horrible invert, but a great race.
Yeah, that 10 invert wasn't horrible. I mean, if you remember, that's what we ran all last season. So I'm just glad it wasn't like a 22 or something, so all worked out.
Yeah, I only save those for road courses.
Yeah, thanks for whoever spun the wheel. Thank you again.
No, it was a great race. A lot of shuffling. I was somewhat amazed by how often we were seeing people just throw it into turns just to get the nose and then watch people go from first all the way back to like 10th.
Oh yeah, this place was like Daytona, and if we got really packed up, obviously, and I mean, if you got poked out of line, you were going to lose a whole bunch of track position. There were really, I mean, this place is flat, and there really wasn't no grip up there in the second groove. So it was really towards the end there. I was really watching them. They all caught me back up, and they had a big long single file behind me. So I knew if I got past, I was probably going to go back far. But luckily, the cautions kind of fell, and they did.
I mean, you did a fantastic job there. What was going through your head lap after lap trying to kind of defend off Ryan Johnson there at the end for those last 20 laps before that caution came out?
Yeah, Mike, he was in there too. He was throwing it in there a couple of times, and luckily we just kind of pinched him off there. And I know if it was the last lap, I wouldn't do that because he'd probably go in there, and rightfully so. But just we was really close on fuel, and I was really having to coast into the corner, and ended up not being so close, but I was coasting in the corner there and saved me a couple laps worth of fuel. And then once them guys caught me back up, as long as I could keep that wide entry and carry my momentum off, the draft I could really kind of equalize that. But Mike, a couple of times, he really pulled up in there and should have passed me, but luckily we just held on.
He seemed to be running like quite the gentleman today, to where if somebody had the run, he was just going to let him pass, try to find the first hole, make his way back up, try to make the pass, and it was just so much shuffling tonight. But at least in the front, it was clean through just about every corner.
Yeah, I was really proud of how everybody in the league raced up front tonight. We ran a lot of green flag laps, but the key really was to just managing your track position, knowing if you're on the outside and looking in the mirror, and if there's a little bit of a gap there, I mean, you know, you ain't going to hold them on the outside. So just hold them out there as long as you could, or if you had a gap, you know, I could swing it wide and carry my momentum and get up under people down the straightaway, because that was really the only way to pass, was to get up underneath them and uh, coming off the corner. But that's just how I race. I mean, there's no point in racing hard side by side when you know he's going to be past you coming off the corner. So might as well try and work and see where you can find a gap.
So next week we're going to Stafford, and unfortunately end up at the back for that one. How
Yeah,
are you feeling about that heavy banking that... Oh, wait. No, I'm thinking of something else.
it's gonna be a fun track. I like that place a lot. It's got to where it's a little harder to pass now, the track state that iRacing has. But last time we ran there, I think was the NSRL All-Star race, and we opened up a can on them over there. So hopefully, as long as I can get through the pack and dodge all the wrecks, you know, should be same thing again. Because I know I told you guys last week I was pretty happy to not start at the back, and then I was like, well, Milwaukee. I thought Stafford was this week and Milwaukee was next week. So, because Milwaukee, it's a lot easier to pass than Stafford, and but still looking forward to it. It should be fun.
Yeah, for some reason my brain was thinking South Boston. I don't know.
Now, that'll be tough. That'll be really tough. But before we go here, I just got to thank all the guys back at DCD Racing. It was good to see Dustin and Brandon back tonight. Brandon was on the box chit-chatting with us while he was watching the Titans game. You know, that wasn't – after about halftime,
He needed to log off that game.
He stayed tuned in to us about after halftime. So
yeah, you just need to give up on that game right now. I checked the score while it was broadcast. Yeah, nobody needs to watch that game anymore.
Yeah, I had it on my TV over here beside me, and under yellow, I looked over, and it was 41-7. So, no wonder Brandon was so active in the chat tonight. But just got to thank them guys, all the admins back at the league to help put this on, and you guys are putting on a great broadcast. Look forward to hopefully seeing y'all next week.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a fight, but, I mean...
If anybody can do it, it's me, right?
You said it, not me.
There we go.
All right. So, congratulations, and possibly chat with you next week, sir.
Good to talk to you guys. We'll see y'all next week.
All right. Sounds good, sir.
User was moved out of your channel.
Time to talk to the guy that managed to have probably one of the best restarts that I have seen, and then the caution just solidified it. That was kind of what I was expecting to hear.
That's all I got. I love Milwaukee. It's a lot of fun. Even in these cars, it's basically a super speedway, so it's really like, you know, chess. But I mean, you still gotta, you know, make it through the corners as fast as you can and whatnot. Like, it's not just full throttle, but yeah, I can't get a win here in these stupid cars.
You're still in the points hunt, so I mean...
barely, if I am. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we were saying on the top of the broadcast, all it takes is one bad race from Mike and Dante, and you're right back in it, because, I mean, 50 points for the top 5. We still have, 7 races to go? It's all doable.
Yeah. We'll see. I never like, you know, wishing misfortune on anyone else, but no, you're right. I get it. I'm not completely out of it yet, but I'm just trying to relax, I guess, a little more and just race.
I mean, it was unfortunate spin, but not as bad as last week. But...
Ugh.
Next week, we get to go to Stafford. It's going to be somewhat similar. Not quite as flat, but still flat and much shorter. But, again, it's just a matter of maximizing the points, had a 0x today, correct?
I should have. I don't remember hitting anybody. I know I got popped pretty good on the coming off a 4 once by Hacker, but I mean, it wasn't his fault. I was just trying to stay off of Dustin, and then I think he was trying to bump draft me, and I almost wrecked.
Yeah, but it's still relatively clean race. Ended up towards the back of the field, moved your way up, managed to get shuffled to the back and move your way back up. I lost count of the number of times that happened to pretty much everyone tonight. But still, a second place. It's a good points night. Unfortunately, Dante ends up extending the lead, but still, can't complain too much.
No, not too much. But yeah, it was a decent night. It was pretty fun on those longer green flag runs. I was waiting to see. I was trying to save my tires like that whole first run just to see who was going to be using their tires and losing them. And I didn't know how long it would take if it would happen, but looking forward to that. But yeah, caution to shake everything up.
Multiple times tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think you had something for him there at the end if you guys would have went green, or you think it had just kind of shook out the way it did?
Towards the end there, he seemed really fast. I think he had the line figured out. I mean, with the draft though, anything's possible. I felt like I had a really good run coming, even on the restart prior to that when I got around Mike. But I don't know what could have been, right?
Hey, I'm trying to look at the positive. It's still second. Still get the podium. We're still going to see your name next week on the top 5. I've won
That's what we're
one
gonna try for.
championship in my life, so I always just try to look at the positives.
Nothing wrong with that. No, we'll try our best, see what happens. I mean, that's all you can do every week.
I got you, man. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week, man, at Stafford.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Take care, sir. All
User was
right,
moved
and
out
then
of
we
your
have
channel.
one last for the
User was
evening,
moved to
the
your
resident
channel.
Canadian, Mr. Mike Alexander.
How you guys doing?
Oh, none too bad. Strong night. You were up there throughout most of the night. The invert sent you to the 5th row, but still end up on the podium.
Yeah, it felt pretty good here. I seemed to have a lot of speed pretty well all night, and I really feel like under the right circumstances, probably had a shot at the win. You know, I felt a little faster than Dante there on that last run, but you know, I didn't want to. I poked my nose out there a little bit, just trying to scare him, but didn't want to force the issue too much.
You were running like a gentleman through most of those situations. When people would get the little bit of an edge on you, it was just keep it clean, try to minimize the damage, and then mysteriously you were back up at the front fighting 5 laps later.
Yeah, I messed up on that last pit stop. I don't know, they dropped the jack and it auto-fueled on me, and I was sitting there and waiting I lost 3 or 4 spots there just being dumb, and so I had to fight back there, but it felt really good that last run. Like I felt like I had something, but I wasn't gonna move him for it.
I mean, it's the right way to look at those kinds of things, and a good points night. Granted, unfortunately, last week we see you moved out of 1st for the first time this season, but minimize the damage.
Yeah, I guess with that drop week, Dante got biased there, and now I got to start trying to beat that 03 a little bit and see if I can pick away at his lead. I don't know, it might be tough though.
Still have 7 weeks, so.
Yeah, and the tracks coming up, a lot of them I like, with the exception of the dirt track. You know, I like most of them. I'm really good at Stafford normally, so I'm looking forward to next week.
That was going to be Josh's next question. I know it. What's your thoughts on Stafford?
I've always ran good there. It's another one of my tracks that I took a liking to, and it just seems to fit my driving style. So hopefully, you know, we can come away with another podium and maybe pick up some points on Dante.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a little bit easier to pass, but not all that much.
Yeah, it probably definitely will be easier to pass than here. You know, here it's so hard to pass without dive bombing a guy. You know, it's the long straightaways and everybody's kind of rolling the same speed. So if you don't want to dive bomb a guy, you know, you're gonna have a hard time getting around anybody here. So Stafford's more of a, you know, you can get a good run off the corner and dig up underneath the guy, and yeah, that'll be a lot more my style.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. You have a few weeks before we end up at dirt again, so
yeah,
keep that one in mind.
I hope I don't ever want to go back to dirt. I don't like the dirt.
Unfortunately, Adam does now because he just won a season in dirt, to where I was enjoying it until, yeah, I couldn't really run on Thursdays anymore. But no, it was a great run from you tonight. We'll see what you have for us at Stafford, and maybe the big invert will come back and make it rougher on everyone, and hoping not, because I kind of like these mid-pack inverts because it all shakes out in the end.
Yeah, I like the you know, full field invert or whatever we get. I like the randomness of it. You know, then you don't have guys sandbagging or playing any games. It's completely random, and you know, you're gonna luck out sometimes from it, which I did a lot at the beginning of the season, and then you know, now I seem to be a little bit more on the other end of it. But you know, that's just the way it's gonna work, and I like that.
No, great run, and looking forward to see what you have for us at Stafford next week.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yep, take care, sir.
Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
That is gonna do it for us here tonight. Got a lot more good racing than I thought we would.
Yeah, the draft had a lot of the play here. Leaders couldn't go away. People could somewhat make some decent passes all throughout the night. When we thought it was going to get boring, these guys were going to run single file. They shook it up for us tonight and made this race a lot more enjoyable to call. So we appreciate these guys for throwing some good moves out there tonight, and we'll look forward to see them next week at Stafford.
It's going to be a great race. Make sure catch the broadcast on Ghostfire Media. Catch Wednesday if you're wanting to see some truck action with the Sim 500. But that is going to do it for us here tonight. I'm Josh Laston. That's Adam Wood. Have yourselves a good evening.
Thank you for watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.